We will call the June 4th, 2025 meeting of the Law Enforcement Citizen Review Board to order. And Mr. Wood, can you confirm that the Kansas Open Meetings regulation and notifications were met?
Yes, they were.
And we will have roll call.
Deborah Shetler,
Here.
Leisha String,
Present.
Aaron Melby,
Here.
Jason Gibson, Alini Zavisky, Marvina Havinghorst,
Here.
Lowell Moore,
Here.
Tina Behringer.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next on our agenda is to approve the minutes from our last meeting on March 5th. Has everyone had a chance to look at those minutes? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes. I'll second that.
So is there any discussion?
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
All right, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
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 I think that's everyone. Nay? Okay, good. All right. All right, so the motion carries and the minutes are approved. And now we have staff report updates.
Take it away.
Hello. I'll refer you to the quarterly report for bias-based complaints. In 2024, the Citizens Review Board reviewed one bias-based complaint and one use of force, excessive use of force complaint. So far, we've had none in 2025. And if you've had a chance to review the 2024 annual report, the Salina Police Department responded to over 38,000 calls for service, and we made over 1,500 custodial arrests. During this time frame, there were 185 use of force reports completed, and use of force reports are completed both when officers use force against someone and also when force is used against the officer. There were 68 of those 185 incidents where officers were the victims of battery. And those 185 instances where officers used force or force was used against them equate to 0.005% of all calls for service and 12% in relation to the amount of custodial arrests that were made in 2024. If you compare the 2024 statistics to the 2023 statistics, calls for service decreased 4%, custodial arrests decreased 14%, and use of force reports decreased 25%. On page 2, you will see the type of force that was used. And in 2024, you can see the most common type of force that was used was the bodyguard or RAP system. And we will provide you with a demonstration of the RAP later on in our meeting today. Weaponless use of force was another large category. And the last two categories, the majority of categories of force options that were used were the taser display, the taser discharge itself, and a weapons display. And on the third chart, if you will turn to that, in 2024, officers were battered or assaulted 68 times, and in comparison to in 2023, they were battered 95 times, so that statistic has decreased as well. Does anyone have any questions about the quarterly report or annual report for 2024?
And so this isn't the full report
Correct.
completed just yet, so we're still working on that. Once it's completed, we'll send it out to the board. We won't wait till the next meeting, so just as soon as it comes out and it's been approved and reviewed by everybody, it'll go out to the board.
I just have a comment. It seems like we're doing pretty good here in Salina with use of force and conducting those calls as they should be conducted, I guess. I'm not a know-it-all, but from what I saw, like you know, I don't know how much of this is true. So you see these things on the YouTube or the computer or something, and you see these police officers beating up somebody or whatever, and I'm like, that can't be true. Is that an AI thing? But whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter who you compare it to. We seem to be, statistically anyway, doing pretty well here with our use of force. No?
Yeah,
Okay.
seems to be.
In my opinion, in my opinion.
Yeah, we're certainly trending in the right direction. I mean,
Right.
you know, it's good news that it's going down, so.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different factors probably at play. The technology that we have is always improving. The amount and quality of training that we have is generally improving. You could potentially take into consideration the overall view of police and in the community, and the viewpoint of the police is trending in the right direction, I think, right now too. So all of those things could be contributing factors to the decline in the use of forces that we've had.
It looks like just pointing the taser is a deterrent.
Right. So
What's the trigger for just pointing?
So we are now using Taser 7, and Taser 7 has the opportunity for an arc display, which displays the potential for the force. And so we have had effective uses of just displaying the taser or using the arc feature. And that has gained compliance that has allowed us to not be required to tase someone then after that point.
Okay. Anyway, that's it.
It doesn't say on here, but do you have well, maybe it does. Do you have an idea, I guess if we looked at it closer, where we were this time last year, 2024, overall? Because 2025, we're significantly, I mean, I hope we're not going to hit those same numbers. You know, we're very low considering we're not even we're way less than halfway to where we were last year.
I'm not sure if the annual report does monthly stats on here.
Okay. Maybe the
Oh, yeah,
one that
on
we're
your-
getting?
If
Oh.
you'll refer to the top chart
Okay,
here in your use of force incident comparison, 2024 is the light green color, and so you can view by comparison
Okay.
the last 4 years from 2022 to 2025, where we're at thus far this year, up until June.
okay.
It does seem like there's generally kind of a spike in activity over the summer months. So once the weather gets nicer, things seem to trend up a little bit.
There are a lot of different contributing factors to the amount of force that's used, weather being one of them.
Well, let's hope this summer's different.
Yeah, it does look overall lower
Yeah.
though. I mean, it's quite a bit lower in May, and overall it seems like the first month was a little higher than, or kind of in the higher tier, but after that it's kind of slowed as far as the number of calls for service or incidents.
Are there any other questions or any other information that you want to share? Okay, so we can move to new business, which is the demo of the RAP restraint system.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Detective Brazionis. Been with this line of police department since 2017. This is Officer Grogan. And we're not only members of our defensive tactics instructors, which we currently have 4, but we're also members of this line of police department SWAT team. And one of the big things that we do as defensive tactics instructors is we teach both new recruits and an annual course every year on how to apply the RAP restraint system. In my experience, both on the street and then now in investigations, the RAP is used pretty often. I think it's the safest thing that we can possibly employ to make sure that people don't cause harm to themselves or others. And a lot of times we're dealing with people who are under the influence of some substances. This is the best way to make sure that they're restrained safely for both medical intervention and then also transport during custodial arrests. So, begin the presentation. Mel Shelby's gonna be our
Oh,
assistant for the day, so that we can apply it and show it appropriately.
I'd be careful if I were you guys.
So these bags are stored in the back of all of our market control units. And these bags are pretty simple. You open it up, it has all of the tools that we need in here that we can employ this effectively. These helmets here are kept in the supervisor vehicles. So supervisor responds to the scene. There's an incident involving uses of force. We can take this helmet, slide it over the head. A lot of times what you'll do is when you have people that have they're in a position to where they can't really move their arms and legs, but they still want to be combative. What you'll see sometimes is they try to hit their heads on different objects. So this helps keep them safe. And it's a foam helmet. That's it. So from our wrap position, typically what we'll do is they'll already be on the ground. They'll be handcuffed with their hands in the small of their back. And then from here, what we can employ is something called a spit hood. It is a mesh net that goes over the head.
I'm gonna hand this for them. Are we getting passed around?
And
Do we have pictures?
it is extremely breathable material, and it just protects officers from the biological perspective of someone who's resisting kind of contains spit and mucus. Unfortunately, sometimes people try to spit on us, and this contains it and also doesn't limit any breathing ability on their behalf either. Sorry.
Except does that also prevent potential assault charge?
It's for the battery
to
charges.
To their benefit to have it on.
Yes, yeah.
The
If
whole
you're not
purpose
able.
of this is to keep force from escalating.
Yeah.
So these are the ankle restraints. That is the next step. We cross the ankles in order to limit the ability for them to move their legs. And then we put that strap on. And you'll notice the bottom part of that strap also has a handle. It's a nylon handle, so that way we can lift and carry from those positions as well. So from here, you'll see it says knees here on a big white line, so it's easy. Our second person will come in, lift the ankles, and that slides right underneath. And we can cinch these down really tight. It's not to say there isn't going to be some level of discomfort. You're having straps wrapped around the legs. But as far as the safety for the individual who's in custody, there's going to be nothing better. They can't flail, they can't kick officers, they can't cause more injury to themselves, and basically it just restrains them with a safer way. It's a larger surface area, so there's nothing that's really tight and constricting in a smaller area. So Officer Grogan's going to demonstrate how we roll and lift up. Notice he scooped the head, grabbed the arm, rolled up, okay? It's not a very strong movement. We're just using their body momentum. A lot of times we're communicating with people. Hey, we're going to roll you, sit up, so on and so forth. The way we teach this, because we have buckles, we always say, whoever's in custody, make sure you take your time. Make sure you don't hit them in the head with the buckles. Obviously, things can be dynamic, but we oftentimes try to make sure that we're as safe as possible. So also, we've had some instances in the past where people have tried to bite officers. So Officer Grogan's going to show a safe way of how he can keep himself out of harm's way, and he does that by using his forearm to brace along the side of the neck. Not cutting any blood flow, we're not encircling the neck, we're just bracing along the side of the neck. That way a person can't come over and try to bite the officer. Pulls the straps from the back. And then finally, this strap gets clipped in to the bottom where the ankles are, and then it gets fed back to Officer Grogan. And most importantly, when we're in this position, the first thing we always do is two major things. One is to make sure that they have the ability to breathe right here on the chest, and that you can hear. And a lot of times we'll do that is we'll ask them a question. You know, if they're able to communicate with us, there's no labored breathing, we're good, we're in a good position. Individuals can be treated by medical staff while in this system. This helps prevent positional asphyxiation. So if they're not in a position to where they're unable to breathe. Also, I know you're in a suit, but we're gonna tip you over. If you keep them to a side, they're still able to breathe. Their arms are cleared, their chest is cleared. Again, it's not the most comfortable, but we're able to keep them in this position for a period of time. Now, when it comes to carrying, there's straps here, so we can go under the arm, we can grab a strap, lift, and we can walk them and put them in the back of a patrol car, take them out, put them in an ambulance, take them to the jail. Not a big deal. The way to release it is we use a handcuff key, which we all carry, and that releases all of the buttons, and then we can take it off. If we have somebody in here for an extended period of time, let's say we're waiting on a blood search warrant for a DUI, what we can do is we can take the ankle straps off, we can have them stand up, kind of let them get that blood flow back, and then we can leave those off if they become more compliant. So just because it's on someone doesn't mean it can't come off of someone. It's basically dependent on the individual's level of compliance. Any questions?
I've never seen this before. Thank you for the demonstration. Officer and detective. Just curious, high-profile instances like Freddie Gray and George Floyd, have they compelled departments to use this particular type of less than lethal capability? Is it more prevalent now because of it?
So I would hope so. I believe we've had the RAP system for a really long time. I came to the Salina Police Department in 2017, and I know it was widely employed then. It's a system that should have maybe been used or looked at by those agencies. I can't speak to those agencies or what they're doing currently. We do tend to stay on the trend of uses of force because we're force instructors. But I know this would be the best situation. It's saved people before. If you have someone who's in crisis and there's an issue to where we're going to need to take them into some kind of police protective custody even, we can use this system on them as well to get them the medical care and treatment that they need. Any other questions? You pass the helmet around if you want to.
Is the helmet new? Is that a new addition? Okay.
It was last year. Last year, yeah.
Okay.
Last year, and it's just held on with a Velcro strap
Okay.
that goes around. And we have a technique for putting that on as well. So we basically, just to make sure the officer's not putting their hands in front of someone's mouth. So if you take it and actually bring it down, and then you can put the strap on. And it works with the spit hood. We've been in it, all of our instructors. We've worn it for long periods of time. Yes, you get sweaty, it's a little hot, but it doesn't impede your breathing or anything with the face mask at all.
Okay.
In all 50 of the instances, Detective and Captain Larson, this year that's been employed, there's been no secondary considerations for any of the detained or suspects?
I don't know what you mean by secondary considerations.
Has there been any complaints or anybody that's come back and said this didn't allow me to breathe or anything that?
To my knowledge, no.
No, they haven't.
You will generally get complaints when you put this on people, especially the helmet. I think their complaints are more general to the way it looks and embarrassment in the public. but it's to keep them safe, and if someone's using their head, trying to cause injury to themselves, they're in our custody, they're our responsibility, their health and welfare is our responsibility, so we just put that on.
But in these 50 instances thus far this year, there hasn't been any indication that they needed additional medical treatment as a result of anything that you all did to protect them from themselves and
Correct.
protect their law enforcement official.
That's correct. And we don't have the negative numbers to show the amount of force that has not been needed to be deployed because they've been put in a wrap, and how much force was not needed because of the use of the wrap.
I believe we did review a case at one time where the wrap was employed, where they made a complaint of excessive use of force, and the board reviewed that a couple of years ago. And I think the board exonerated the officers that there was no issue there, but I think there has been one since the board's been in operation where we did review somebody being wrapped.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions anyone has? Again, thank you both for giving us that demonstration. It's very helpful. So we are on other business, and is there other business?
I don't have anything. I guess this would be a time if the board has any specific policy they'd like to review, or, in the past we've done the body wrap presentation in the past. We've shown the taser, some of those sorts of things, but there has been some turnover in the board. If there's anything specific that the board wants to review or look at, we certainly would, take recommendations from the board to bring it back at the next meeting. So,
Okay.
and that's any time. If you think of something between now and then, you say, hey, I would like to review the pursuit policy or whatever that is. We'd be happy to review whatever policies, or that's part of the board's mission is to do those things. So.
Mr. Wood, I just had a quick question. For example, Larson, firearm incident is officer-involved shooting, OIS, correct?
Yes.
And then Arwen is the beanbag system, am I correct on that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That's all I have, sir.
I had, from our, from September of 2024, I had written down that 3 of our board members rotate off in August of 2025. And hopefully they can, I know that maybe they can't reapply, but do we have other people in the wings applying?
So, yeah, generally
or-
there'll be a EOI. We'll start sending those notifications for expressions of interest here probably in the next month. I'll get the board membership makeup and what your terms are, and I'll send that out to the board just so you have an idea of where you're at. And then if you are a board member and you're interested in re-upping, you will need to fill out the EOI, and we'll make sure that you get consideration from the city commission. That's not something that, that's the city commission's decision, so they could decide not to put you on the board, but I don't know why they would. So I can't imagine that would happen. If you're interested in serving, I would imagine you'd get another term fairly easily. But I'll do that in the next week. I'll pull those, just the list of where you're at and when the cycle is, and we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you. Any other business? Okay, so next would be Citizens Forum, and
Nobody here.
nobody's here for that. And we do not have an executive session today, so we are at adjournment. So is there a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Is there a second? All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
All right.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned.